Anzi dhiriwo rairo vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rarembanje vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo ravakomana. Oh, dhiriwo rarembanje vanogara mudhiriwo, vakomana vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rarembanje gara mudhiriwo, musatambe navo vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rarembanje vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo ravakomana. Right, ndambotaura ndikati topic yandatanga iyi, by the end of this presentation unogona kuona imba iri surrounded ne-anti-terror unit. Right. So when I was in the middle of making a crucial presentation, my phone just cut off. Imagine. The phone just cut off, presentation just cut off. But let's continue, Miraito. Let's continue. I need to finish this presentation. So I've put it as freedom of speech, part 2. Let me just go over what I've said in the previous video before it was cut off. I was talking of freedom of speech and expression. I said every Zimbabwean has the right to freedom of opinion and expression, and this right includes the freedom to hold opinions without interference from the government and to seek, receive information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. I've discussed a lot about what is freedom of speech. I've defined it. I've given the goals of freedom of speech, and I've talked about the goals. I've spoken about every human has rights, and I went on to discuss about the communality of freedom. I spoke a lot about the culture of limiting press freedom, especially in non-industrialized countries like Zimbabwe. I visited this culture that limits us from talking, which gives us lack of speech and expression, and which separates industrialized and underdeveloped countries like Zimbabwe. I've spoken about global divide. I've spoken about the role of journalists. Remember when I spoke about the role of journalists, I said journalists must cover as well the sensitive or controversial topics. They must cover them because the people have got right to hear any information. And if you look at journalists in our country, they've tried to suppress such sensitive information because they want to avoid conflict. The government say it wants to avoid conflict. I've said most non-democratic societies employ state-running news organizations to promote their propaganda critical to maintaining existing political power. And I've cited Zimbabwe as a very good example of what is happening. I've spoken about press freedom and why governments have historically used the national security as an excuse to stifle this political opposition and criticism. You have seen it in recent years in our country where journalists were incarcerated. Vanashingono spend years and years without bail. Job Scholar, one of our leaders, spent years and years behind bars without being given bail. Wana Blessed Mhlanga, you have seen I've gone for a walk in Blackburn, protesting to make sure that Blessed Mhlanga is freed. I came to meet this brother. There was a walk which was done on a Romancia Chumba, that protesting that Blessed Mhlanga must be freed, and eventually he was freed. In recent cases, I've spoken about this hate and fear of terrorism in other countries like United Kingdom, and the security have been invoked to justify increased repression of individuals, especially in the UK. And you have heard me talking about the incarceration of Chinyanga. I'm just giving an overview from the previous video to this video. As network Irguita say, I think they are running around Cataful. They've just cut me off because I'm going deep into things that they don't want spoken. So that when I finish this presentation, you might probably hear that Shepherd Yuda was arrested in anti-terror in the UK and is in custody. Because what I'm saying here is exactly the rights we were born with, and no one should suppress it. You have seen Chinyanga being arrested in this country, incarcerated, incite violence to Zimbabwe, not in the United Kingdom. And they've denied him bail. They've denied him right to appeal. They've refused to give him parole. Wachitara kuti ZANU-PF ichiri kuuraya vanhu. So itikakuburisa iwewe uchangoenda kunokondema ZANU-PF. And they've withdrawn his status in this country and is about to be deported. So those are true kuti where Chinyanga is being deported to is a country that promotes hate speech. You have heard ZANU-PF youth singing kuti anziona Yuda mberere nenyika isakagarika zvedu muZimbabwe. At the end they do their slogans pasina Shepherd Yuda, pasina mai vashoko, pasina shoko, pasina ningi. Those are hate speeches which are even chanted by the president of a country. So you cannot deport someone to go to such type of a country where hate speeches are used, where people disappear. I was talking about this disappearance of Maslin Zumbira, the disappearance without trace of Rashua Guja, the disappearance without trace of Ndabenyama, the disappearance without trace of Itai Zamara. And this is probably where they want Chinyanga to go. And they really understand that Chinyanga was crying because people were shot in the CBD. And for British government to deport him there because Chinyanga has cried why innocent civilians are being gunned down in the CBD, urging Zimbabweans to fight back. You cannot just be gunned down like chickens. So Chinyanga said, why can't these guys organize and fight back rather than watch whilst they perish? You understand? So the country, our country Zimbabwe, promote hate speech to the extent that our president Mnangagwa created a group of Varakashi who promote hate speech, who even if you write something on Facebook, they come in dozens to attack you. They don't even read the speech. They don't even read what you write. But they've been sent by Emmerson Mnangagwa, the president of Zimbabwe, to come and attack you. They were given resources. They get money for every post they post. Every week they get $10 each. They got funds to make sure that they promote hate speech in our country. And the government restricts media in certain cultures from discussing sensitive topics. I've spoken about sensitive topics like the disappearance of human rights defenders in our country. They disappear. Lawyers have been arrested. Politicians have been incarcerated. People have been disappearing without trace in Zimbabwe because once they write or talk about sensitive topics, they say they are inciting hate, they are endangering national security. But they forget that when they send people to abduct Itai Zamara, when they send people to abduct Rashua Guja, they are creating a situation where Zimbabweans will talk. They are creating a situation that endangers national security by abducting a citizen of a country and make that citizen disappear. The government is endangering national security. Because the people of Zimbabwe now, they don't trust the soldiers anymore. They don't trust the police officers. When Itai Zamara disappeared, police officers came with a police car and they said they were arresting him for stock theft. That is the last time he was seen in the hands of police and he disappeared. Until now, the police, they confirmed initially that they had Itai Zamara in custody and later denied that they had Itai Zamara in custody. And that is the last scene, the last time Itai Dzamara was heard of, and he disappeared in Zimbabwe. This is where the government wants to deport William Chinyanga. The British government, they want to send him there. Where punitive laws are in place, which punish the press for use of libel defamation. Where a fine line exists between upholding the right to freedom of expression and protecting the human rights. Your views, they are said, they are causing illegitimate harm and often driven underground. Where freedom of speech is not exercised, where hate speech is promoted. This is the Zimbabwe we know. This is the Zimbabwe we all love. This is the Zimbabwe that Chinyanga cried when people were shot. And don't say our president. Thank you, Mkoma Bernard. I just say our president because we accepted the fate of election rigging. We did not act as per expected. If we acted as per expectations, definitely Mnangagwa won't be president of Zimbabwe. So we say our president because we surrendered our fate. Elections were rigged right in our face. Elections were held in conditions that are non-democratic. And the people of Zimbabwe did not even protest. The people of Zimbabwe just looked at the situation as if it was a normal situation and accepted that. You understand? So we have got loads of things that we need to talk about. Public awareness. The public should understand the issues that have jeopardized our country, especially censorship. Censorship, you are told what to say. Mnangagwa has paid a lot of people on social media. There were people who were vocal about Zimbabwe. Today, they are all quiet. Not even one talking. Probably Shepherd Youth are still talking about Zimbabwe. Because they know I can't be bribed. They can't come and bribe me. They know the reasons why they can't bribe me. Even if when I was a prison officer, I couldn't be bribed by Rengu, Tokpa Rengu Nyarara, Tokukwiziriza, Tokupromota, and I got to hell with that. What I'm voting for is the freedom of the people of Zimbabwe. I sacrificed my job. I sacrificed my life for the freedom of this country. I want the people of Zimbabwe to be free. So, those issues that we talk about are issues that are censored by the government because they don't want the freedom of information and expression to be spread. They don't want that information to be known to the people of Zimbabwe. So this lack of public awareness, it is an aid to them. It is an aid to them. They don't want the public to be aware, and this has contributed to the sickness of the country, to the death of the country. Because the public they don't want the public to know. Right now we talk about the roundabout, it go bold 88 million US dollar. Even the parliament cannot hold those people to account. Kuti 88 million yekunganza dhaga nekutsindira nekusatara pamusoro. Tara road yakaiswa paipa haisvike kana 10 kilometers yakaiswa tara paipa. Yorova 88 million. Come on guys. Even the parliament, our parliament cannot be inquisitive. They can't question them. Kuti what exactly was 88 million here? Because apana chamakauya nacho panapa. Dhaga makarona riripo. Makangoya nezvigredha chete mukaunganidza dhaga mukatsindira mukagadzira tara pamusoro. And tara is less than 10 kilometers. Less than 10 kilometers cannot cost 88 million. No. And more. So, lack of public awareness, because we lack independent newspapers and so forth, and an independent parliament to ask these questions. So the population or the government has starved the population by repression. The population is suffering. The country is crying. The country is crying. They are suffering. Asaka dambudziko haadi idi dambudziko itisu drobvuma kuvarwana idi tichipuwa mari. Yes, this is why, because Mnangagwa created poverty. So that poverty is the one that is a key factor of creating warakashi. Tokupa $10 tukashepa dude. Itapasina yuda. Upuwa $10 utengera vana vako chingwa. Mangwana futi because hauna kwachaona imwe $10 uchauya utuka shepherd yuda kuti pasina yuda upuwa imwe $10. Saka upenyu hwako hwese ama $10 zvinonzi itapasina yuda kuti udye. And instead of addressing what is causing poverty, what is causing food shortages in our country, Zimbabwe is in a major famine right now as I'm speaking. Vana havana chekudya, vana havana chikafu. Instead of the government to focus on that, they focus on punishing journalists. They focus on punishing the opposition. They focus on killing Wanashepa Yuda for exercising their freedom of speech. They concentrate on censorship, threatening the right to life. Yana Yuda. When we talk, and they will tell us that we have made that so and so. We have harassed the so and so. We have imprisoned the so and so. These are extreme measures that the government take against the dissenting voices. They murder individuals. They harass individuals. They imprison individuals. And they will tell you clearly, kuti any msindo baraba tinokuvharira. Vana Job Scala, that was what Job business bruru wangu haachakwanisi kana kuholda rali kuti ataure. Anongozara yangusimudza muromo wepasi chete akudzokera kuya. Vana ngarufume vanyarara vati zi. Kana kuchivaona kana marharumu hamuna. Kana kufamba achiita zvavaita kunganidza vanhu vachiita sei hakusina. Kangoti bufu chete otokudzorera iko kuya. Saka you see the type of government that we have. They have got a system of censorship by using imprisonment as a tool to say, shut up. And all those who are vocal, they've been silenced in our country. And it's more. Every day, press freedoms in our country are infringed upon. Every day, many people face illegal detention. Opposition face illegal detention. Wanachibaya, they've been detained for many, many times. They've been persecuted. They've been tortured. And some have been killed. When Dr. Magombe was tortured, Dr. Hana ma gloves. Amuna ma gets out in the theater under my operations. Akuna. And he was abducted. Tortured for that, detained and tortured, for telling the world my doctors have an equipment to use. You see, so we have got a government that do not even protect the rights, my rights, Iran. And the people must not be deported to that country. Because Zimbabweans now, it is impossible for them to say something. They can't say some things. They can't condemn the government. They can't say why the government is going wrong. Because the government is there to punish them. People can't publish their thinking. If you publish your thoughts, you go. And the poet was saying, Mgoma love more. I have said this time and again that if ZANU-PF government continue on this trajectory, it needs to be removed by force. I've said this time and again that as Zimbabweans, when Rhodesians were punishing reporters, when Rhodesians were stampeding on our rights, our fathers, our brothers, they went globally, asking for global governments, global family, for arms of war, for training grounds, to train Zebra forces, to train Zanla forces, and cross borders into Rhodesia to fight Rhodesians, until Rhodesians agreed to go on a negotiating table in Lancaster and hold an election, which resulted in ZANU-PF coming into power 45 years ago. So it's not a secret that when you have got a repressive government, a government that murder individuals, a government that harass individuals, a government that imprison people, a government that take extreme measures against innocent Zimbabweans, innocent civilians, that government needs to be removed by force. Zimbabweans need to do what the same government, the same people in government today did 60 years ago, 50 years ago, that resulted in Ian Smith and Rhodesians come to a negotiating table and say, let's sit down, let's talk. The country belongs to you and me. As a result, an election was held, which was supervised by United Nations, and the ZANU-PF came to power. We have failed to hold free and fair elections from 1980, which were acknowledged in 2023 by all election observers. Even the United Nations acknowledged it, that this was a non-event. So if we fight this government, United Nations is forced to take us on the table to negotiate. And then they will do what they did in 1980. If ZANU-PF wins, that's fair and fine. We know the people of Zimbabwe love ZANU-PF. If the opposition wins, let it run the country. Opposition won 2008 election. Mugabe refused to hand over power. United Nations was there. European Union was there. Africa Union was there. SADC was there. They could not intervene to ensure that democracy prevails in our country. So what I'm saying is, we need that to say, look, if press freedom is stampeded upon, our rights to life are stampeded upon, people face illegal detention in their country, people face persecution in their country, people face torture in their country, people disappear in their country, people are killed in their country, because their government want to protect their government is failing to protect their rights. Then we need to act as a population. We need to take action. Saka question point was say, I've answered it. We need to take action against ZANU-PF government and force it to go on a negotiating table for a United Nations supervised election. If ZANU-PF wins, we congratulate it. If opposition wins, we congratulate it. This is what is needed to be done now. Because if you look, anotanga kuita force wacho ndiye asipo, you are there. You are there. I am there. Ronald is here. And Ronald, ZANU-PF is being sponsored by the West. Remember, the Gugura Hundi genocide happened in front of their eyes. And up to today, nobody was held accountable. This is where we go back on the drawing board and buy the idea that the British government is the one that formed ZANU-PF. To counter the Veles, to counter Zipra and ZANU. And remember, during the war, there was a civilian plane which was shot by Zipras in Wange area, which made relationship between Ndebelés and the British sour. The reason why they did not act when Ndebelés were being butchered by ZANU-PF. The reason why today they don't recognize Ndebele people to say a Ndebele person can lead Zimbabwe. They don't want that. The reason why they sponsor ZANU-PF. The reason why if you go against ZANU-PF, you will be incarcerated in UK and you will be deported. We have got Shinyanga who cried when Zimbabweans were being gunned down, daylight, in the CBD of a capital city of a country. Shinyanga today is in prison, 4 years in prison. Vana Mugabe love more. Vana Mugabe, they had no weapons, my brother. They had no training ground. They had no smartphones. They had no cars. But they managed to go to Mozambique, talk to Samora Machel. They went to Tanzania to talk to Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. They went to Kenya to talk to Jomo Kenyatta. They went to Zambia to negotiate with the Kenneth Kaunda. This is where they got their weapons. This is where they got their training grounds. This is where they got food. They flew to England. You heard Tongo Gara saying, the shoes I'm wearing came from Britain. The jacket I'm wearing came from Sweden. They went to Romania. They went to China. They went to Russia to look for weapons of war, to come train people and fight Ian Smith. They did not have those weapons, but they went to look for them. So if you need your freedom, ZANU-PF has told you that if you need freedom, come fight us. If you win, then you run the country. They said they are not going to let that country to go by a ballpoint pen. And it's written in black and white. They said they are not going to salute anyone without war credentials. So if you want to be president of that country, they said, go and fight for it. Gain war credentials, come and then run the country. They said they are not going to salute anyone without war credentials, when they were refusing to salute Changirai. So it's clear, my brother, that if you need your freedom, you need to fight ZANU-PF government. You need to fight it. That's what they said. Even today, Manamuchangwa, they say it on daily basis, that if you want to be president of this country, go in the bush and fight. If you win this war, come and be president. So the question of Twitter say, it has already been answered by ZANU-PF. They are saying if you want to fight, if you want to run this country, go and fight. But they said, there is no, Mugabe said, there is nowhere I will surrender this country with a ballpoint pen. This country was taken from Rhodesia with a barrel, not a pen. Hanzi makambozvitarisa here kuti ndebvu dzenyu nemapfekero amakaita bareta looks like Comrade Chinks. Oh, really? Aniti maona. Saka tiri kutaura, thanks so much for the compliment. Aniti maona. So those who publicly express or disseminate views or images that are critical of the regime are subject to harsh punishment, including lengthy prison sentences, as well as assault and intimidation. I have been intimidated on numerous occasions. When I was in Zimbabwe, I was abducted, tortured, and assaulted. I had friends and relatives killed by ZANU-PF. Because I was disseminating publicly information that people must vote ZANU-PF out. And that was not sweet to their ear. I've been represented by human rights defenders. My lawyers are sana mchade ama. Andimona. Saka, ladies and gentlemen, iwewe nenitine basa. If you go to Zimbabwe, we had a lot of non-governmental organizations, sana Amnesty International. They have witnessed the suffering of the people of Zimbabwe under this corrupt regime of ZANU-PF. They have witnessed the suffering under the repressive government of Mnangagwa and Mugabe. And these people, they were not afraid to speak. But guess what happened? The workers in NGOs like Justina Mkoko, they were abducted. Justina Mkoko was abducted. She was taken naked without a pen. Munochikazi akaenda asina pen Justina Mkoko. Asina kupfeka kana chima zama ari panze. He was abducted by the CIOs. To the extent that even the minister of CIO did Masimtaza, Akatara is not going to reveal those national security agents who abducted Justina Mkoko. And he agreed that she was abducted by the CIOs. Justina Mkoko akaenda kumwezi, akaenda kumazuwa, kaerera ropa asina kana bhurubu. Abductwa nema CIO echirume. Just imagine. Non-governmental organizations, they speak about it. Some of them were directly getting involved to try and make the government of Zimbabwe see sense. Why abducting Wana Shadrack Manyere? Why abducting Wana Justina Mkoko? What for? What do you benefit as a government? And tomorrow it will be worldwide news. The government will be condemned. And Wana Shepherd will talk. And you intimidate us, you threaten us. When United Nations, they know. Wakamboisa program, they want to promote the growth of rights in our country. Good governance. I still remember in 1991, Kuvindok, there was a declaration which was adopted there, UNESCO. That declaration helped identify the needs of media around the globe. Today, it is now recognized today as an International Press Freedom Day. It started in 1991. It was done in Windhoek, initiated by UNESCO. That helped identify the needs of media around the globe. Kana chitaura the globe kutaura pasi rese. Kutaura pasi rese hatisi kutaura globe remagetsi ayo kutaura nyika. So if you look again, the International Center Against Censorship, this was founded in 1986, which defends victims of censorship. I am a victim of censorship. I am not allowed to say what I want to talk. Because if I say it tomorrow, so this International Center Against Censorship, founded in 1986, it aimed to promote freedom of expression. If you look at the International Freedom of Expression Exchange, there is effects here. It created an electronic network in 1992. It connected international freedom of expression groups. It connected them together. Google effects one. My international freedom of expression groups, they were connected together. One way good now for a petition, a good chinyanga, territory nyanga head on, they can help us sign that petition. And then Murugona. Saka, these are global actors or actors, my global actors, a freedom of speech. Tikazoendawo muZimbabwe muAfrica, tinawo magroups arimo, ana free country, ana partly free Zimbabwe, anditi maona. Ekuti ethnic strife nemassive war zvinowanika munyika yeZimbabwe. Saka muruna tichitaura tichiti varume, ngatichibatanai muZimbabwe. Ngatibatanai muZimbabwe. Timboona toita sei munyika yedu. Nyika iyayo ndeyedu haisi yemunhu. Saka tikasabatana kuti tisunungure Zimbabwe iyayo. Because we want freedom of Zimbabwe. We want freedom of expression. We want freedom of speech in our country. We want that country to be free. Vanhu vemuZimbabwe vanofana kutaura zvavanoda munyika mavo. Kwete kutaura wakawanda, kwete kutaura uchizevezera. Munyika mawakazvarwa, uchazove free kupi. So we must find a solution. We must find a solution. We must look at current limitations. Example is given here by Mkoma Ronald Johnson. He is saying the West is gaining from the instability of Africa. They need labor. They need raw materials. They need gold and diamonds. They need oil from Africa. And those things are cheaper in Africa. This is why you see they support dictators. This is the reason, the current limitation of the Western countries from helping us. Ukatarisa kuti Britain yakavhura mavisa eCOS, ainzi maCOS. Mavisa eCOS akaunza thousands and thousands of people across the globe for cheap labor. Uchiuya muno mu UK, uchibva kuZimbabwe, unenge uri pa minimum wage. 10 pounds an hour, 11 pounds an hour. They call it minimum wage, boss vanenge vachitarisa how much you are going to pay for rent. Basa rauri kuya kuzoita muno mu, you need a car to travel from one point to another. You need, on that car, you need MOT, you need insurance for that car to work. You need fuel. You need road tax. Saka ukanatasa salary yako yaunohora uchitambira 10-15 pounds an hour, it won't cover zvinhu izvozvo. Rent yemuno mu UK inodhura. 2-3 bedroom house unobhadhira ma 700 pounds. That means kana iri council. Kana ari ma private anobhadhira ma 1000 something. Saka roughly total insurance yako iwewe wabva kuAfrica is 200 pounds. Motikari yacho uri kuitenga iwewe 2000 pounds. Uri kubhadhara road tax 60 pounds a month. Ichada MOT motikari iyoyo. Uchada fuel yekuenda kubasa. Saka if you are earning anything less than 3000 a month, hauna chauri kuita, hapana chawakabvira kumusha. That's cheap labor, rutaurwa naMukoma Ronald here. At the end of the day, if you look at what you have worked for in a month, it's just mari yaurungo, yorungo mukira kuenda kubasa otora mari yacho odzosera kwavari. Uenda kubasa otora mari yacho odzosera kwavari. Uenda kubasa otora mari yacho odzosera kwavari. Makore ari kufamba uri kuchembera, wakutochena ndebvu, wakuchena musoro, wakutodonzva, wakutofa. We are providing cheap labor to them. You understand? So their intervention efforts in situations like in Zimbabwe, they are limited. They don't put effort because they know they are benefiting from that. They don't want Africa or they don't want Zimbabwe to work towards democracy. As long as we remain divided, as long as they remain attacking us, ZANU-PF attacking us, the West will be happy. They don't take action. They don't raise any voice. If you raise any voice, you are arrested, you are incarcerated, you are deported back to them. And probably paunoenda wanda netsamba yekuti takupai munhu wenyu urayai mega. These are undeniable facts, ladies and gentlemen. Undeniable facts. They are facts that people see. They are facts that are occurring. The facts that we rely on when we want to tell the world. If they had guts to listen to our presentations, what I say on a daily basis, they would understand where we are coming from and going to. How Africa has been weakened. People are suffering. The rest of the global community feels these negative effects as well. But they are failing to acknowledge it. Zimbabwe, ukaitarisa, newega unonyatsotoona kuti zvakatopresa zvakadzvanya. On an international scale, what is a legislation, it has been ineffective on an international scale. Because it is not enough to just have laws if they aren't properly enforced or respected. Kunoiswa ma-sanctions ekuti vana Sanyatwa vari kuuraya vanhu. 2 days, 3 days down the line, Sanyatwa is taken off those sanctions. So if you look at that, those sanctions, they are not working. It is on an international scale where those sanctions must be enforced to make an impact. People who do not respect our rights, they've been let off the hook. Vanhu vakauraya vakamuka here kuti ma-British azoti anosanyatwa abo mubvise pama-sanctions. A man who never liked to see free speech in our country. A man who never liked to hear free expressions in our country. He thought he has got the responsibility to censor what we say, to censor what we talk. Because he is government. He doesn't want to see Zimbabweans enjoying freedom without being abused. Saka tiri kutaura tichiti, you wonder why British recognized them to say they must be removed from sanctions. Hanzi namukoma Ronald, South Africa too is gaining from Zimbabwe cheap labor in South Africa. The whole nation is shopping in South Africa. They are gaining cheap labor from well-educated and hard-working citizens. Whilst Zimbabwe degenerates and degenerates and degenerates. So, globally, pane mitemo iripo, which should see interventions effort. The United Declaration of Human Rights had the best intentions. It doesn't hold nations legally accountable for the protection or obliteration of its people's right. 60 years have passed since that Article 19 was first instated. And while its overall purpose is promising, it has failed to positively influence the entire globe or a global population. Human rights are what reason requires and conscience demands. They are us, and we are them. Human rights. Human rights are us, and we are them. There is a need to promote the concept of global free speech. There is a need to promote free speech in our country. and the peaceful coexistence of cultural diverse nations, cultural diverse individuals, Develes and Shonas and whoever is in our country. But because we don't work towards democracy, we don't allow ourselves to take action to ensure democracy is installed in our country. Reforms we all cry reforms and reforms and reforms, which have never taken action. So we are in trouble. I am in trouble, ladies and gentlemen. I am spreading the truth. I have exposed injustice in my country. I was put on death threat. I'm listed as one of the people who must be taken down because I strive for free speech in our country and expression for both the press and the public. People must speak. People must talk. And I will continue to talk because I am a citizen of Zimbabwe as defined by the constitution of that country. Zimbabweans, you have let other Zimbabweans down. We have allowed government intimidation without interfering with them. We have let ourselves down. We can't not speak about human rights in our country. Once you do that, you will be locked up. So the government is inspired by our lack of action and continue to stampede on our rights. Zimbabweans, we are our own enemies. You guys should be raising your voice. You must be taking a tough stand against the repressive government, against the ZANU-PF. We cannot expect this to last long without improvements. The government is illegitimate. The results are there for you to see. The conduction of election was done in your eyes. You saw what happened in 2023. The government sidelined the role of human rights in our country. Those organizations which were striving to see high standards of human rights in our country, they were let down by Mnangagwa government. They even failed to prevent and eliminate further government corruption. The people of Zimbabwe are reeling under corruption, reeking under corruption. We are our own enemies because we allowed the government to enable repressive laws that will stop you express the speech you want, express or exercise free speech, exercise free expression. We are suffering. Hans Mkoma Ronald, the truth, Job Scala nearly died in prison and no action was taken. Nothing was done by the masses to force the terrorist regime of ZANU-PF to free him. Because we are our own enemies. If you sit down, you consider social, political, and religious implications and how constructive criticism can benefit our country. If every time when I come down here, listen to what I present to the people. This is what we call constructive criticism. Instead of the government treating me as an enemy, they must listen to what I say. Try to implement some things that I say, so that Zimbabwe will be a better country. Because the implications of repressive government, you have seen it in Zimbabwe. high degree of poverty, high degree of illiteracy. Without even protesting. So this focus now we need is to change the culture of government, is to change the culture of society. Let's make the government accountable. Let's make society aware of their rights. When they are infringed, they stand up against the government. Let's show support to the people of Zimbabwe for free speech and expression. We want to see reforms. So let's start by signing a petition to free Chinyanga in this country. Let's donate our signatures to Westminster to debate about Chinyanga so that we will be respected as well in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, regai ndichipedzisa ndichiti musare zvakanaka nekuti censorship iripo akomana mukasada kusimba everything will be censored. You won't be able to say anything even in this country. Andimona zvamuri kuona izvi kunzi haubvumirwe kutaura zvakati haubvumirwe kutaura zvakati ndo zvatiri kuramba. Because ezvinezvi, if you look at all the entertainment in Zimbabwe is censored. And you know what? That word rekunzi censorship area, it is associated with the totalitarianism, with the socialism or anything but democracy. We need freedom of Chinyanga. Because if we don't fight for freedom of Chinyanga, hatina zvatiri kuita. Hakuna kwatiri kuenda. Ticharamba tichingosenswa, tichiramba tichitadza kutaura zvatoda kutaura, tichitadza kuda kusunungura nyika yeZimbabwe. Takauya kunze kwenyika kunoku kuti tizoona a platform to stand and fight for our freedom back home and return home. I'm one person who wants to be in Zimbabwe. I want to die in my country. UK people, we struggle to send bodies back home. Apana mnada kufira mchando munomu. Apana mnada kufira mchando. Apana mnada kugara. Ukaona magarira atakaita munyika dzino idzi nemagarira atinoita kumusha zvakatosiyana. We are meant for Africa. We are Africans. We are meant for Africa and we are Africans. Amene vari kuAfrica vacho ndo vakaba mari dzegovernment vanonobhenga kuSwiss bank vachikwira vachinotenga maproperties kuDubai unozana kuSingapore instead of buying properties in their country. Ingadai tine Zimbabwe yakanaka isusu. I love my Zimbabwe. I love my country. As you love Newcastle, but it's very cold. Newcastle is very, very cold. I don't like Newcastle. I don't like Newcastle. I love Zimbabwe. I love Karoi. I miss home. I love my country. Kana ndizofa ndikufira munhu danofira kumusha. Ndichiruzi nguva dzehondo paimbwa kamwe kasonga kuti kambuzuma ndidi ndoda kuenda ndodovigwa kumusha ndoda kuenda bhuru wayo handidi ndoda kuenda ndodovigwa kumusha ndokwandoda kuenda kunovigirwa kumba ndokwandoda kuenda kunofira kwete kufira munyika dzevarimwe kunge tisina nyika. Tine nyika inochiviwa nani zvake. Aaron paBedford paBradford apa unofa nacho you go zveshuwa. Edin Ndebele loves this Bulawayo. Bulala wayo. I want to be buried next to my ancestors. Yes, Ngoma Bernard. You need to lie next to your mother and father. Ukurara pas next ne gwara sekuru wako nesonzwa kuti yandavigwa kumusha. Katasa makuva emunomu. Vakakuviga, I think 10 years time vanonga vomboisa vomboturikidzwa imomo pane popa bhera moturikidzwa muri 4 5 nguva 1. After certain years vosvika kugireda vovakadzimba pamusoro. Iwe unenge uri pasi peimba yemumwe munhu. Takatogara pasi pane makuva apo. Andini maona. Varume. Saka inini chiregai ndipedze ndonovata. I've been here for 3 hours or so. Andimona. Saka imimi mosara zvakanaka. Pamunorara paipa tichimba dhiri hora vago. Hanzi songi kanobata bata. Dhiri hora rembanje vanogara mudhiri ho vakomana vanogara gogo vanata. How are you, Gogo? I didn't appreciate you. How are you? Because and good night all the time. Zimbabwe citizens are not allowed to exercise democracy or self-government. They are not allowed to determine their destinies. They are not allowed to create better informed and more politically sophisticated citizens in our country. And I want to be buried in Scotland. No, you don't go fund me. You go home. I'm sorry. Don't time you go home, my friend. You are not gonna be buried here. I'm coming there. You won't be buried there. And it is. Sagare gaiti zorore. And to make sure that tomorrow we might come back. Pane munhu request presentation yamacheso. Saka vanhu vari kuchema kuti varuda macheso. Timbotaura nezva Ariki macheso nemagitara akaya. Pamwe ndichamboti try nezvake tozombotaura mangwana. Anditi good night.